but we prefer to have people here in person. Most of these people on Zoom are not in this area. Okay, we're still continuing with the life of Swami Trigunatita. He was one of Ramakrishna's original disciples, as we know. He was put in charge of San Francisco, the Vedanta Society of Northern California. It was not that then. And the Vedanta Society up in Northern California had acquired land out in the San Antoine Valley, which is they call it Shanti Ashram. They also, much later, acquired land in Olima. Swami Trigunatita was a very, very exuberant, as we have found, very exacting manager of how things should be organized. Now, we have reached the point where he has given set up the organization for the society with lots of rules and regulations, lots of criteria which must be met to be in the society, commitment from them, and attendance. So he has now started to find a place to build a temple. And this is where we are in his life now, in 1905. At this time, they were having meetings in rented halls and people's homes. But and we're going to start reading now. And so a new chapter began in the history of the San Francisco Vedanta Society to build, to quote, the first Hindu temple in the whole Western world. As Swami Trigunatita would call it with childlike exuberance, was an extremely bold adventure. There is a footnote on this. To the end of his life, Swami Trigunatita insisted the name of the Vedanta Society be the Hindu Temple. Yet he stoutly declared that the Hindu temple was for Americans, not Hindus. In actual fact, the temple was not in any sense Hindu, not in organization, activities, membership, architecture, or decor. Despite the large attendance at the Swami's downtown Sunday afternoon lectures in February 1903, the attendance for the Sunday lectures at Steiner Street, as far as we can be determined by the Society's minutes, averaged about 26. This is a kind of a typical number still for starting Vedanta societies. The Monday Gita class drew on average 11 people. The Thursday Upanishad class, 15. One can assume that the attendance at both the Sunday lectures and the classes consisted primarily of the members of the society, with now and then a few strangers, for whom chairs had been providentially provided, except for Louis Martin Jewell, who owned a lucrative restaurant in the Latin Quarter of San Francisco, although he himself was a German, and who, as we have seen early, acted as a sort of banker for the society. None of the members, barring perhaps the Wohlbergs, was even moderately wealthy. If Mr. Jewell had not donated $1,000 and taken a mortgage of $7,000 on the property, there was no way the society would have bought it. They had just discussed a very narrow piece of property on Steiner and Webster. I think it was Steiner and Webster. Webster and Filbert, sorry. And it's still there. But apart from this precarious financial position, Swami Trigunatita had to contend with continual criticism from the section of the membership that had always opposed him. Some left. remember, the reason they opposed him was because they were followers of Swami Trigunatita, who had a very different style of teaching. This exodus probably did not faze Swami Trigunatita in the least. Indeed, one guesses that from his standpoint, the society was well rid of those who could not range themselves behind its ideal and its leader. But what was its ideal? To Swami Trigunatita, the first Hindu temple in the whole Western world would be a vital piece of India planted on American soil. The temple represented the influx of India's great spiritual tradition into the culture of the West, there to grow and flourish, as Swami Vivekananda had wanted. Swami Vivekananda had once said, if the ideal situation would be the spirituality of the East, mixed with the rajas, the work quality of the West. This would be the ideal person, the ideal situation. He felt that India had grown too passive and satisfied with themselves in their spirituality, so they lacked get up and go and determination to do things. He felt that the West had this great deal of energy to make things better. But they needed the spirituality, not just to earn money, but to do it spiritually. Swami Trigunatita never doubted for a minute that Swamiji stood behind the San Francisco Vedanta Society, and he was ready to risk his all for a temple that would permanently house it. Many years later, Edith Allen would write to Ida Ansel. These were very early devotees of those formative days, although the Allens did not join this Vedanta Society until much later. They would be firm supporters of Swami Trigunatita and fully informed of what had gone on in the early years. Writing of those early times, Edith Allen knew her subject. This is from her writings. Swami Devatmananda told me of all the difficulties he has had in Portland. This was another center. These centers started all around the same time, in the early 1900s, but now feels that the work is well established in a home of its own. I listened to his tale and then said how he could now partly understand the difficulties and trials of Swami Trigunatita had building the temple in San Francisco, how no one wanted him to build the temple, all the opposition he had, and how all Swami Turiyananda's students left him, but still he went on. I remember Mira, Mrs. Mary McGee, said to me, I have not given 1 cent toward the temple. Again, writing to Ida Ansel, Edith expressed her indignation toward the dissidents. I nearly got into trouble with Herbert, Mira's son, when he said that Mira would never take any correction from Trigunatita. And I said, that was Mira's loss. And you expected the ceiling to fall or something to happen. I thoroughly meant what I said, even before I went to Swami T. When Mira told me she had left the temple because she did not like Swami Trigunatita's method, I said, and who are you to criticize a Swami's method? She laughed at me, but I'm still of the same opinion. To criticize any of the Swamis is bad enough, but a disciple of the masters is like criticizing the master himself. That's Ramakrishna. Although the Allens were not in the society in 1904 and 1905 to support Swami Trigunatita, there were many others as staunch as they who stood behind him. The Petersons, for example, the Frenches, and the Wolbergs. Nevertheless, the road was difficult and uphill. But even as Swami Trigunatita had never wavered nor spared himself in doing Swamiji's work in India, he did not hesitate now. To his disciple, Cara French, he said, you have the intellectual. My work is to give you the practical. And what an exponent and exemplar he was, she exclaimed and continued. Swami had given the philosophy. Swami Trigunatita had revealed the ideal sannyasin, and here was the practical, work without attachment, outrivaling all our boasted efficiency, energy, business acumen, foresight, and endurance. Even the architect, Mr. Leonard, who built the Hindu temple, declared that he learned more from Swami than Swami did from him in construction. The temple was, in fact, designed by Swami Trigunatita. Joseph Leonard, the architect-builder, put the Swami's ideas into blueprint form, and with astounding rapidity, the building came into being. As many of you know, you can still go see this temple. It's really it's a historical landmark in San Francisco. Is it the Presidio area? Yeah, Presidio, right above the Fisherman's Wharf. It's gorgeous. It's got onion domes and turrets, and it's all different colors. It's wonderful. The cornerstone was laid with due ceremonies on the 21st of August, 1905, Mr. Allen wrote in his notes, and the building was finished and occupied before Christmas 1905. That's like less than 4 months, 5 months to build this whole thing. As originally built, it was a 2-story building. The upper story was an apartment for Mr. and Mrs. Peterson and their son Alexander Carl. The lower part consisted of the auditorium and quarters for Swami Trigunatita. The funds necessary for the purchase of the land in the name of Swami Trigunatita and the erection of the building were subscribed by the students according as they felt they could give. The temple was dedicated on the 7th of January 1906, and the first service in the temple was on Sunday, 16 January 1906. The cornerstone document opened with a brief history of the Society's first 5 years and continued. This is out of the cornerstone document. In the beginning, the aim and great purpose of Swami Trigunatita to establish a permanent center of the Vedanta work on the Pacific coast, not only for the present work, but also for that of future generations. He presented the project of building a permanent home for the Society at a special meeting called to consider that purpose on the 11th December 1904 at 40 Steiner Street, with the condition that a sufficient fund be collected to secure a suitable location. The present lot having been purchased, Swami was enabled, through the help of Mr. Joseph Leonard of the San Francisco and Suburban Home Building Society, to erect a suitable building which is now under course of construction here. This property is to be the home of the Swamis of the Bellarmont, India, and to be a meeting place for the holding of lectures and classes on the Vedanta thought as taught by Sri Ramakrishna, for the benefit and instruction of the public at large. This property is a public religious property belonging to the Vedanta Society of of San Francisco. You can tell where I'm from. Belonging to the Vedanta Society of San Francisco, under the sole management of Bellarmont, India. The intention is to incorporate the Vedanta Society of San Francisco in the near future, said incorporation to be under control of the Mott. This is true of all our societies in the United States. The official societies are all under the religious direction of Bellarmont, headquarters in Calcutta. The individual centers are independently incorporated according to the laws of the land and have as nonprofit organizations and have boards of directors with that kind of law. So we are under the business laws of the United States or whichever country we happen to be in, and the spiritual guidance of the Swamis of Bellarmine in India. There followed a list of 9 contributors to the purchase of the property, including 2 lady disciples of Sri Ramakrishnan, one of whom contributed $900 and the other $50. A list of contributors of unspecified amounts followed this, and following that, there were the names of 28 members who had signed the document in the order in which they had signed. These lists are tedious to read, but inasmuch as they gave us a clear picture of the membership of the society, we have a list in the back of the book. In regarding to the financing of the temple, there was this important sentence: "This property has been secured also with the great pecuniary help of Mrs. Drusilla Steele of Los Angeles." This pecuniary help of Mrs. Drusilla Steele of Los Angeles was great indeed. In one lump sum, she gave $7,000, a fortune in 1905, to release the mortgage held by Mr. Jewell. This must have been a vast relief to Swami Trigunatita, and very possibly an answer to prayer. Who Mrs. Steele was, we do not know, except that she lived on Hyperion Avenue, was very kind to the Hindu students, and nearly always had some of them staying with her. No doubt Mrs. Steele had met Swami Trigunatita in his 1903 or 1904 stays in Los Angeles, and was possibly his student. But the cost of the property was only 1/3 of the expense of building the new temple. In a letter to Mrs. Oli Bull, now she was a great protector of Swami Vivekananda and wasn't she in Boston? I think she was in Boston. When Swami Vivekananda had come to the Chicago Parliament of Religions. One suspects she was one of these disciples of Sri Ramakrishna who contributed the $900 to the property fund. The Swami wrote on February 7, 1906, "Dear Mother, your affectionate letter of the 15th January was very thankfully received. The temple here is almost finished. Still a little work here, a little work there to be done. But we have been holding classes and meetings here. It's a very good little place. It has cost us nearly $14,000, including furniture. I am still in debt to $10,000 at 6% interest. It is very important work, no doubt, to establish a permanent basis of close relationship between India and America. In India, by the able and active good wishes of you all, we have been able to establish a permanent center to carry out and to carry on the great work of Swami Vivekananda in the West. Now, this is the beginning of the permanent center on the other side, i.e. in America, to receive constantly what India can give, and to take in return what America can give to India. All this is due to our blessed Swami Vivekananda. We published a little pamphlet called A Souvenir from the Hindu Temple, to be distributed free on the occasion of the dedication of this temple. I'm sending you a few copies of those. I'm also sending you a copy of the photograph of the temple. Don't scold me, Mother, for my daring spirit of having incurred such a great debt. It is a great disinterested work, and I believe, dear Mother, all disinterested works, no matter by whom done, are directly looked out for by God. I am so glad and I thank you that you have used a beautiful Sanskrit word, pranams. Mother, please know the same to you from me, one of your loving children. With all my best wishes and regards and love to you, dear Mother, I remain yours affectionately, Yours affectionately, Trigunatita. According to the San Francisco Vedanta Society minutes, the society moved into the temple on December 1, 1905. Swami Trigunatita moved into the ground, first floor, and the Petersons into the flat on the second, then the top floor. It isn't anymore. In the Petersons' flat was held the last party for their family and friends that they would ever hold. It was a farewell to the life they had known, and an embracing and fully of a Vedantic, almost monastic life, according to Kara French. Dira told Swami Trigunatita, Dira was Mrs. French, that her family and her old friends complained that she was neglecting them for this new interest in her life. As a courtesy extended before a final break in these old relations, she would invite them for a card party, a sort of housewarming in her new home. The temple had not yet been dedicated, so Swami consented. With her sister and several old friends, Dira included Ekanishta, Mr. Frederick Hood, and Savitri, Mrs. Hood, Nishkam, and myself. We knew the game, but we had not played whist, a forerunner of bridge, for a long time. My greatest pleasure was when Swami came upstairs, going from table to table, watching each group at play. Perhaps he knew he could and would clamp down on us whenever he thought best, but that evening his gracious, most lovable side was in evidence as he joked with each one present. Those of us who were his students, however, may have sensed it was no idle joke that our names had been put in the cornerstone of the building. In after years, telling us how he wished the work conducted and the temple carried on, when he should no longer be here, he said, "Whatever you do, keep it pure. Not alone from any breath of evil thought or scandal, but free from any worldliness and material desire. A place of holiness in which the Supreme Spirit could be invoked, might even remain as an abiding presence to guide and protect us." Now I'll show the people that are here a small picture of what the temple had looked like in those days. It's greatly changed. Okay. On the evening of January 7th, 1906, Swami Trigunatita dedicated the first Hindu temple in the whole Western world. This is how he spoke of it all the time. And invoked the Supreme Spirit, which even today, some 90 years, much longer than that now, is still a living presence. This strange new building, sitting with Victorian solidity in the middle of San Francisco's Cow Hollow district, was crowned on its northeast corner with a bulbous tower shaped in the style of some of those old-fashioned temples in the province of Bengal. The building, which in 2 years or so would grow stranger still. Another story and more unlikely towers were being added, became not only a well-loved San Francisco landmark, but to those who came to know it as a spiritual home, a place vibrant with holiness. It became, as Swami Trigunatita had intended, the very best of India planted permanently on American soil. The dedication made headlines. The San Francisco Chronicle ran a large photograph of the 2-story building with its 3 Moorish-style windows, which adorned only the auditorium at this date, and its single Bengali tower, which, as the later pamphlet would explain, had something to do with the Shiva Lingam. An inset showed the Swami in his robes and turban. An interview with Swami Trigunatita appeared in the Sunday Chronicle on January 7, 1906. It read in full: Resident priest tells of faith. New society is in charge of Swami Trigunatita and has a membership of 50. Okay, May the Absolute bless all is the inscription over the entrance to the Vedanta mission at 2125 Filbert Street, the first temple in the Western world for the propagation of the Hindu philosophy and religion. For Vedanta is both. And yet, Swami Trigunatita, the resident priest, says, Vedanta is neither a philosophy, nor a theology, nor religion, neither a science, nor a system of faith, nor a theory. Neither is it scriptures, nor a code of laws for a discipline, neither an object, nor a subject, nor an idea. Neither is it made by man, by sage, nor by prophet. It is not made at all. It is ever existent. It is neither of the age, nor of the bygone golden age alone. It is neither of this world alone, nor of the sun or the moon, nor even heaven above. Vedanta is said to be, for that reason, infinite and eternal. It is the philosophy of philosophies, the religion of all religions, and the science of all sciences. It is the end and aim of all these. It is the very terminus of everything. Nay, it is beyond all. It is the knowledge after which all philosophies, all sciences, all religions have been searching. The word Vedanta means the end of all knowledge. It is composed of two simple works, Veda and Anta. Veda is derived from the Sanskrit word vid, to know. Veda means knowledge. Anta means the end. Vedanta means the end or goal of all knowledge or wisdom, the finality of all things, the great conclusion of all arguments. It leads any person to the realization of the great ultimate absolute truth. So discoursed Swami Trigunatita yesterday afternoon in the office of the mission, a new 2-story frame building at the corner of Filbert and Webster Streets. There's nothing to distinguish the building from other 2-story flats. There's an insert. The wildly atypical Shiva Tower seems somehow to have gone unnoticed by the interviewer. Save the entrance to the temple on Filbert Street, where there is a vestibule of white marble under an arch of the Hindu style of architecture, and above it, mosaic work bearing the inscription, quoted. Actually, the inscription read and reads in Devanagari script, Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramakrishnaya, Om. Salutations to Lord Ramakrishna. The auditorium will seat probably 150 persons. At one end is a small rostrum containing a chair for the lecturer, and back of it is a life-size painting of Ramakrishna, he whom the Vedantists call Master. Excuse me. Swami Trigunatita is short and rotund, with the swarthy skin of his race. I was educated in Calcutta, said he, and when I took holy orders, I was obliged to put away all secular things, and with it I put away my English, which I'm now recovering. Up to a few years ago, the Hindus never preached their religion to other countries or people, and owing to this fact, we were misrepresented by the clergy of other nations and races. It was Ramakrishna who suggested the idea of missions, and it was followed. I was one of the missionaries selected. Vedanta is preached in centers, as we term them, but this is the final established mission in the Western world, first established mission in the Western world. At present, we have about 50 enlisted members, but I may say we have many admirers. Our members raised the fund with which to erect this temple. We have many inquiries from both the Catholics and the Protestants. Asked for a definition of Vedanta that would mean something to the lay mind, he said, "Vedanta is philosophy applied to practical life. It is a religion based on practical philosophy." Then, with reverent enthusiasm, he talked of the Vedas, the oldest literature in the world. It has been traced back 4,000 years. It is written in the original Sanskrit, and Sanskrit is the mother of all written languages. Our Gita, said he, was written 2,000 years before the birth of Jesus of Nazareth. Yet in many places in your New Testament, the words are identical with that of the Gita of 2,000 years before. We believe in Jesus of Nazareth, but not as the Christians do. We do not name him, and we believe him only one of the many incarnations of God. The Jesus of Nazareth of the Christians was educated in India. If you are familiar with his life, you will know that there is a blank in his life from his youth until his manhood, until he began his teachings. Those years unaccounted for were passed in India. Notovich, the Russian explorer and author, found a manuscript in an underground library in Tibet that told of the work and studies of Jesus of Nazareth. There was an absence of incense odors. No robes of the mystic were to be seen. There was no air of mysticism, only a rotund little priest in the blue serge suit of an American businessman, sitting by a roll-top oak desk. Yet there was something eerie about it all, and his black eyes burned and flashed as he talked smoothly, pleasantly, and familiarly about men who died from 2,000 to 4,000 years ago, as though he were giving notes for the obituaries of men who had died yesterday. The formal dedication of the temple will take place at 8 o'clock this evening. That was the article that appeared in the San Francisco Chronicle. Now, I think we'll stop there because then we're going to go next week on the following article, Dedication of its First Hindu Temple. We'll read that next week. Does anyone have any questions here in the audience? You have a question, John?
Well, I just want to see the book to see if my great-grandfather was one of the people that are listed.
He could have been,
He
easily.
And I'm curious whether the earthquake that came that year it obviously survived. It was the only building in the area that survived. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Because it didn't have a foundation until 1970. Well, that was really good.
Swami Trigunatita started his monastic life up in San Francisco. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a magnificent building. It really is. But so much smaller than you anticipate. You walk inside and you go, oh. I mean, this seems to be like, it would be like half this size. Half if you went down the center.
Is there any explanation of why he knew it wasn't Hindu, but called it Hindu? Was that like a creating a bridge of communication? I mean, that's how it is.
Well, I think, I honestly don't know, but I think when Swami Vivekananda came to the Chicago World's Fair in 1893, he was part of the Parliament of Religions at that time. And the Parliament of Religions was organized by, it's been a long time since I read the history of it, but I believe it was a Methodist minister. And the precept that he had set up was he was going to invite representatives from every religion in the world to show the world the superiority of Christianity. And, okay, so, and this is written in, there's a book that is written called The History of the Parliament of Religions, and I read it probably 40 years ago, so I may not be precisely quoting. But Swami Vivekananda was one of the youngest representatives. He had never given a talk to anyone in any place. He arrived in Vancouver and was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He rode a freight car to the East Coast. Someone found him. Who was it? Found him on a street curb in Boston, I believe. And she came out of her door and she said, "I think you might be one of the representatives at the Parliament of Religions. You'd best come in and I'll take care of you." So this woman, which was it, Mrs. Ole Bull, or was it Mrs.? It could be. Yeah, that could be. And what was her name? I'm so bad on names, I told you all. Okay, it was in Chicago, and she took him in. And he was at the wrong time of year, too, so there was a while before it was going to start. So he went to Boston. This woman helped organize some talk. She didn't organize talks at that time. They kind of sent him around, and he went to different places. He did talk a little. And then when the Parliament, he wasn't even a registered representative at the Parliament. And the Boston people, the Chicago people, doctor up in Connecticut, Massachusetts, got him registered at the Parliament. And when it was time to give the talks, he was shy. So he kept going, "Oh, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet." Now, at this Parliament of Religion, Suzuki was there, who brought Zen Buddhism to the United States. There was an Islamic imam who came, and he gave a talk. Ever since, we have had Islam in this country. Swami Vivekananda got up at the end of the day and gave a 4-minute talk, which started, "Sisters and Brothers of America, we have come not to change your religion, but to deepen your own faith, to make the Christians better Christians, the Muslims better Muslims, and the Buddhists better." I don't know if he said the Buddhists better Buddhists, but that was his whole message. And it took him less than 4 minutes to give it. And the whole crowd, according to the Chicago newspapers, leapt out of their chairs and climbed over them to get to this Hindu monk. So, and that's how it started. And then he traveled all over the United States with the help of very wealthy people who had listened to him. The women of the United States had a great deal of time to be able to indulge their interest in other areas, to indulge their interest in arts, in lectures, in bettering society, because their husbands were building great big businesses. So these women arranged talks for him in different places in the United States. They arranged all kinds of meetings. He traveled back and forth across the United States. He stayed in San Francisco, did lectures there, did lectures in Texas, all over the place. He had been. St. Louis. Most of these places now there are Vedanta societies. But he had been called the Hindu monk. So that was kind of the name that Trigunatita kept. It was the Hindu temple. Yeah. Yeah. But
how many societies are there around the States?
I'm sorry?
How many Vedanta centers are there
Well, we've got, okay, Boston, Providence, 2 in New York City, 1 in Florida, 1 in North Carolina, 1 in Washington, D.C., actually in Maryland, St. Louis, Chicago, Seattle, Portland, Hollywood, Santa Barbara, Sacramento, Berkeley, San Francisco. We have them all. Plus, we have now a great number of unofficial Vedanta meeting places, which have been going like this center when he described how it started with individuals holding things in their own homes and basically then getting a home, that have been very, very active for 20, 30 years. Some of them will be made. We have Austin, Dallas, Texas, Austin, Houston, Dallas. The only one that has been officially taken under the auspices of Bellarmont and Calcutta is Houston. The others are still considered unofficial centers of the Vedanta Society, and those are numerable. They're in Atlanta, they're in Tucson, they're in Phoenix, they're in Las Vegas, Colorado, Cleveland, not Cleveland, what's Cedar Rapids. So it's still, one of the basic premises, as Swamiji said, was we do not proselytize or try to change anyone's faith. Vedanta can be considered a how-to in your own faith. In the early, in the 30s and 40s, one of the New York centers, the West Side, one of the Swamis, one of his disciples was a rabbi who had an active temple. And he told his temple that I am taking initiation from this. Is this going to bother you? And they agreed they would rather keep the rabbi and let him do his meditation. So it's that kind of, it does not require that you change yourself. If you already have a firm belief, one that you're satisfied with. So that's why when I say they're still growing slowly, like with groups of 25, 30 people come regularly to these centers, and they're dedicated. They grow very slowly because no one's out trying to say, better come here. We have the answer. No. All religions basically are worshiping the same God and going to the same goal. Speak different languages, we take different trails up the mountain, but we're all doing the same thing. So, okay, now I have my announcements. And I took off my glasses and I can't read. God, it's tiresome getting old when your eyes don't work. Sunday. Well, first we'll start with Saturday. We're having Karma Yoga Day. Now, Karma Yoga Day is the day we invite all of you to come and practice practical Vedanta, i.e., help us with you do disinterested work. You just do jobs that we hand out. We need help up here. And we work from about 9:30 to about 11:45. And then hopefully you will have time to come into the temple to meditate. There will be a puja going on. And then have lunch with us at 1 o'clock. So that is Karma Yoga Day next Saturday, starting at 9:15 down in the convent. At 5 o'clock we'll have the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna reading, which is the basis of our particular order of monks. And Swami Trigunatita, who started in San Francisco and knows more details than I do, will be giving that. And he will also give the lecture on Sunday, Enjoying Life, the Secret Surprise. So I hope we see you all. Hope you come. And we'll see you next week. Those of you on Zoom, good to see you all. Okay. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Okay. Any other questions? Now that Zoom is over. Oh, well, it's good to see you, and I hope you see some, I hope you visit the temple up in San Francisco. There's a new temple now, too. There's only a few classes held in the old one.